Hey, so if you're like anything like me or any other entrepreneur out there, 10 bucks says you have been staring at a blank screen or page about to record a podcast, a video, or write a blog, and you're like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And that's where it's like coming up with ideas, right, of what to write for your content. So this episode is dedicated to you and people like me who are wondering what to talk about next. And this is going to be all about how to find ideas to create the topics for your next podcast, even video or blog. And so you don't want to guess, right? You just want to create it and also make sure that it is optimized and that people actually want to hear the topic. You don't want to create a video, you don't want to create a podcast episode on a topic that your avatar or your ideal client or prospect doesn't even want to hear about, that they don't care about it. And so I've used this system for my clients, I've used it for myself, and it will help you be more intentional and strategic with your next podcast topic. So let's dive in here. So the first one is getting a list of your competitors and getting a list of industry leaders, and do some R&D, scope them out, check them out on Facebook, on your, favorite social media platform. Check out their YouTube channel, their website, their podcast. What topics are they talking about to attract their avatar? Because their avatar is likely the same as yours. So you will wholeheartedly get a ton of wicked ideas. Put them on a spreadsheet. Don't think you'll remember them. Don't think that you'll go back and look again because you'll probably forget where you found it. Make a spreadsheet. I know I'm the queen of spreadsheets. And when you're in YouTube, this is another little added tip, is look at the videos that they're creating, but look at them to see which ones have the most views, because that will tell you what your avatar truly wants to hear about, because obviously people are gravitating towards those videos and watching them because it's a problem that they want solved. And then you can do the same. You can do the same topic. It's okay. And do your own spin, your own take on it, but it will help you kind of get those ideas on the table. The second one is going to your Google Keyword Planner. I, though, use Ubersuggest. It's Neil Patel's tool. So it's kind of like Google Keyword Planner, but you can use it for all of your SEO. And it is amazing. It is easy to use. It is inexpensive. And so what you're going to do is search for terms in your industry. So think up some different topics or ideas that you have. Put in the phrase. I'm going to give you some examples in a minute. And then that way you can see, are people actually searching for it? And is it easy for you to rank, or is it difficult for you to rank? So is it worth creating that topic to be able to rank for it? Yes, there's different kind of sides of the table there. One, you want to create content that your listener wants to listen to and that they care about, and that's solving them a problem. But on the flip side, you may and most likely also want to rank for some of those keywords within your website. So here is an example. So I searched up YouTube videos. They have 1.5 million searches per month. And of course, the difficulty for me to be able to rank for that is like 88, which is not good. So obviously there's no way I'm going to be able to compete. There's no way I'm going to be able to rank for that. So why use that phrase in my title and my topic? But I looked up optimized YouTube videos. So let's say I wanted to do a video or a podcast episode on how to optimize your YouTube videos. There were 210 searches per month. Not amazing, but decent. But the difficulty is only 61. So it's much more doable for me to be able to rank for that term. And then I did like optimize videos. That one had 1,300 searches, much better, but the difficulty was at 70. So you can keep playing around with like the different phrases. So for instance, I put in tips for optimizing YouTube videos. Now, bear in mind, this is just for Google right now, right? Google searches. There were 0 searches. So obviously, I'm not going to use that title or that phrase for the next podcast episode that I'm doing. Now you kind of have an idea, okay, if I'm going to do, optimizing YouTube videos and I'm going to use that as a podcast topic, then I can get a bit more granular of like how I'm going to frame that podcast episode, right? What is the title? What is the hook? And what am I going to say in the intro? That I'm going to share tips for optimizing YouTube videos. Tips for optimizing YouTube videos, though, is not being searched for. So I'm not going to want to use that in my title. So likely I'm not going to use that in my intro of the podcast episode of how I'm going to frame it and position it, because that phrasing is not resonating with my audience. If I say optimize YouTube videos so that you can grow your YouTube channel, that might resonate more, and I can use that phrase, optimize YouTube videos. So hopefully that kind of gives you the idea. Side tip though, it's okay if your podcast episode image has a slightly different title and same with like in your host as well, than what is in WordPress for the title of your actual post, because that's what you're SEOing. If it's an image in social, feel free to use a sexier title. If it's the title that you're using in your host and it pushes to iTunes and Stitcher, it's okay if that title is a little sexier, right? So just kind of wanted to put that out there so that you're not completely limited by those constraints in order to rank for that keyword. But I just want you to have that in mind when you're kind of figuring out your topics, how you're going to be talking about it, how you're going to be naming that episode. So just want to make sure that that is covered. So I'm going to move on to the third point, and that is looking at the statistics of all of your episodes in your podcast host. So of course, myself, I use Libsyn. And actually, if you're on my site, you'll see a coupon there for 2 free months. If you use the code SMOOTH, they're a great platform. And so in the back end of every host are statistics and analytics. So you can actually see which episodes got the most downloads. Obviously, you're going to bear in mind that the last few weeks of the most recent episodes hasn't really had time to get that compounded downloads and listens. But you can glean a lot of information. You can see which guest got you the most hits, which episode got you the most hits, which topics are resonating more with your audience, and then do more of that, or do a different spin. Or if you spoke about one area of it, you can speak to another area of it. And then that way you're creating content that your audience truly wants to listen to. Fourth, and this one is a little bit more complicated, but super useful. So head over to YouTube. Again, I have mentioned where you can check out your competitors, check out your other industry leaders, check out their videos, what's getting the most views. But you can even take it a step further and use a tool that I use called TubeBuddy, and it allows you to do keyword research and competitive analysis on a more granular level. And I'm going to kind of step you through that. So again, just like you did with Google Keyword Planner or Ubersuggest, you're going to search for keyword terms, right? Or phrases. And so you can do that for videos. So then you can see what topics, what phrases people are actually searching in YouTube, and which ones are getting the most views and are being searched for the most. But then it'll also tell you that level of difficulty, because if there's 3 million searches and views for how to optimize YouTube videos, you can use that keyword in there, but you're not necessarily going to rank for it because it's going to be way too competitive. But if you change it slightly, the title, to something more broader or just different, or it's just phrased, like maybe switch some of the words around, and you still get a decent amount of volume for searches, but then it's less competitive, then you're more likely to rank for it. And you know, it's a phrase that your avatar is searching for and they're wanting to know. So super helpful. And then again, you've got to find a chance to rank for that term. And then your video will be found faster. And yes, videos for just videos, but also like the video version of your podcast. You want to make sure that they're all optimized in there as well. And lastly, as you're going through this, I want you to create a list. Let's keep all this research in one spot. Write down all of the topic ideas, the keyword phrases or research that you've done, how many searches per month, and then also the level of difficulty. So that way, when you're going to go and record some new podcast episodes, again, videos, blogs, whatever, then you can see which one is like the better, more strategic phrase and topic to go. So for this episode that I'm doing right now, I obviously did my research and I did ideas for podcast topics. The search was 1,600 with the difficulty of only 50. So I was like, yes. I did podcast topics generator. There were only 210 searches per month and the difficulty was 58. So clearly I'm going with ideas for podcast topics. So my title for this episode is Need Ideas for Podcast Topics? Do these 5 things. And then that way I'm creating content that is strategic, intentional, optimized, and it's actually a topic that my listener and my avatar wants to hear and that they're searching for. So I'm not throwing spaghetti against a wall and wasting time, money, investments, and so forth. So do those 5 things, and I guarantee you will see much better results from your podcast, also your SEO, and as well as optimizing your YouTube. 3 bangs for your buck there, right there. So if you found this valuable, I would love to get some feedback from you. And, whether you're going to Podchaser or iTunes, just punch in there what your review is, what your feedback is for the episode so that even more people can find the Leverage Your Podcast show. So have a great day and keep podcasting.